Hello there! Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. The day is finally upon us. The Clone Wars has made its return. This is honestly super surreal to be sitting here doing a review of the premiere of Season 7 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. For over 6 years, we've been waiting for a conclusion that I don't honestly think any of us thought could ever be possible, would ever happen. And yet here we are. This is amazing. I grew up with the Clone Wars. It was my major introduction into Star Wars. It was really the primary factor that helped to shape my love for Star Wars and make me the fan I am today. So it means a lot to me personally. And to see the show finally get a proper conclusion is just so fulfilling. I couldn't have asked for more. Obviously, what a great way to start out this new season with The Bad Batch, which, as I'm sure many of you already know, actually has already been out and about in the world for a while now on StarWars.com, because when the show was canceled, they released it as an unfinished animatic in 2015. So all 4 episodes are available to go watch in their preliminary state. The voice work is finished, but the animation is far from it, far from being the having the status of the final product. But now to see these episodes fully realized and kind of acting as the entryway into the end of the series is surreal again, and it's amazing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and delve into this review. Obviously, we start out, we have the opening Clone Wars logo and Tom Kane's narration, which just kicks the nostalgia in right away. That was when it set in, the fact that, oh my gosh, I'm watching new Clone Wars episodes, and again, it's just, I can't believe this is actually a reality, and that we're actually getting these final 12 episodes to wrap everything up. But anyways, we get filled in on what's happening. General Skywalker and General Windu are leading a campaign on Anaxis, but the Republic is suffering multiple losses and defeats, and it's come to the point where their grip on Anaxis is beginning to slip away. The episode starts with Rex and Cody coming to Mace and Anakin, with Rex having his own proposed theory as to why the Republic is suffering as many losses as they are. He makes the point of saying the more they use a certain tactic, the less effective it becomes, because the droids adapt, they take in data based on previous attacks, and then they're able to devise counter strategies. However, they make the point of saying that the losses on Anaxis are not commonplace because the Separatist counter strategies and tactics are so specific to Rex's plans in particular. Cody makes the note of saying that because Rex is one of their best, it would mean there's a good chance they're all vulnerable if the enemy can devise his plans so efficiently and effectively, rather devise counter plans to his strategies that he's drawn up. So they request permission to take a squad behind enemy lines to infiltrate a separatist cyber center in order to gather intel on whatever algorithm the separatists might be using for these counterattacks. Afterward, Rex and Cody meet up in the barracks, and we get a really nice scene between the two of them. Honestly, I really do enjoy the dynamic between Rex and Cody, as I think most fans do. And it's kind of sad, honestly, to think about it, but we don't really get all that many moments between them over the grand course of the series. They're in episodes together occasionally, but they don't interact all that much. Really, Season 1 with Rookies and the Hidden Enemy episodes was kind of when they always had the most one-on-one exchanges and time together on screen. So it was really nice to get some time with them in this episode. This scene in particular was really nice. And it's great to say that we have that dynamic between them in the final season. I think it's fitting for this last set of episodes. But anyways, Rex is, we see him sitting on his bed. He's looking at an image of himself and Cody and Fives and Echo, and he just starts reminiscing about Domino Squad and all the other brothers he's lost over the course of the war. Cody is there with him, and he says, yeah, sometimes it's the hardest to actually survive in war. But then Rex proposes to Cody an extension of his theory that he didn't tell Mace or Anakin, that he didn't tell the generals because he felt it was crazy, and that's his I guess you could say, hunch that Echo is somehow still alive, because the counter strategies and tactics being used by the Separatists are nearly identical to the battle plans that he and Echo drew up together. And Cody, of course, says this is far-fetched and that's pretty much a lost hope. And Rex isn't willing to give up that feeling. He isn't willing to give up that hunch. He feels like he's onto something, but that's disregarded for the time being. After that, we are introduced to Clone Force 99, of course, named after 99 from the ARC Trooper arc, which is a really great nod and in-universe tribute, I guess you could say. And it makes sense because this squad in particular, the Bad Batch, as they call themselves, and as Cody describes them, is actually a group of defective clones with desirable mutations. And having already watched the animatics on StarWars.com years and years ago when they first came out, I remember really growing to love these characters. They're really just an extension of the great collection and array of clone personalities and individuals on the show. That's one of the best aspects of the Clone Wars, is the individuality of the clones, the fact that they're individuals more so than they're just carbon copies of each other. And this, again, it's a great extension of the collection of clone personalities we have on the show, because we've had, Domino Squad, Gregor, lots of different members of the 501st, but never before have we had this sort of elite, almost Avengers-like strike team of clones, these defective soldiers with desirable mutations, again, as Coda describes them. They each have their own kind of individual, unique skill sets and personalities. Hunter kind of acts as the leader of the group, and he has heightened senses. He's kind of a tracker. He can detect magnetic pulses from on-planet facilities. Tech is the geek of the group, and he's obviously really good with gadgets and technology and such. Crosshair is kind of the rough around the edges sniper persona, and Wrecker is, of course, the muscle. And right off the bat, you can see there's some conflict between the Bad Batch and the traditional clones, Cody, Rex, and Kix and Jesse, who also appear in this episode. It's great to have them there. And side note, this is the first time we see Jesse as an ARC Trooper, which is really cool. But right off the bat, you see there's conflict between the two groups. The Bad Batch refers to Cody and Rex and Kix and Jesse as regs, as in regular clones, and it's almost like they look down on them as if they're inferior in some way. Not so much Hunter and Tech. Hunter and Tech seem to be the more rational of the group, but Crosshair, who's kind of rough around the edges, and Wrecker, who just seems to be kind of arrogant. They almost seem to look down on the others, and meanwhile, Kix and Jesse and Rex are skeptical of working with this elite squad, so to speak. They're not really comfortable with how they go about doing things. They're not used to how they operate. And it's a cool dynamic. It's a really cool, unique idea for a story, pitting these two different types of soldiers against each other. Not against each other, really putting them together and kind of seeing how they work with each other. As the show progresses, they get aboard a gunship to get behind enemy lines, and they're heading towards the cyber center. They proceed to get shot down. They end up in a valley, and there's a platoon of droids that converges on their position. And this gives us the opportunity for the first time to see the Bad Batch in action, to give us a look at how they go about doing things. And when the droids show up, Rex immediately says they need to take cover. They should wait for the droids to come to them. Hunter replies by saying, "That's not our style. We prefer to go to them." And then they proceed to take up the LAAT door and use it as a shield, and they charge the droids head on. And you get to see each of their individual skills and abilities on display. Tech is kind of calculating the trajectory points for droid poppers. Hunter's throwing the droid poppers, and then Crosshair is sniping them mid-air to set them off, all while Wrecker is carrying the gunship door and using it as a shield. And they managed to take out this whole platoon of droids on their own. And it's so cool. There's something so cool about seeing these 4 genetically engineered clone troopers take on this whole platoon of droids and not need any help. They wipe them out, they get the job done, and it's not the way that most clones are used to doing things, but this is a really great scene because it gives us insight into how the Bad Batch does things. After the fact, they move on and continue toward the cyber center. there's actually a point where the conflicting nature between the two groups kind of reaches its flashpoint. Cody ends up injured after the gunship crash, and he's in no condition to carry on with the mission. So Rex says that he's going to take command, to which the Bad Batch objects, or at least specifically Crosshair objects, saying, if your plans are so great, why did Cody call us in? And then Jesse kind of steps in and scolds Crosshair for not respecting Rex's authority. And then there's a physical confrontation that almost breaks out. That gets to be right on the verge of breaking out. Wrecker grabs Jesse by the throat, kicks, and Crosshair kind of get in a brawl of sorts. Rex is trying to separate them. Hunter puts a stop to it last second. But again, this is a really interesting dynamic to see it, and it kind of reflects what you see in movies sometimes, military movies, where different branches or divisions of the military are kind of unironically feel like they're superior to the other branches, but ironically at the same time, simultaneously, unironically, and ironically, feel like they're better than everyone else. They want to do things their own way. They think their methods are the best. And it's really cool to see this with clones. It's a great, unique aspect, and it makes for a really good story. After the fact, they move to capture an outpost that's on the outlying territory of where the cyber center is located. They deem that it'd be easier to take the outpost than go around it. And this scene stuck out to me because what's really interesting is, first off, it's shot in such a way that's really cinematic. You follow the action. There's some great continuous shots, just the way the camera moves. It's really well done. But one thing I noticed is the fact that there's no music in this scene, and I actually really dug that. It's just the blaster noises, and I don't know. It might not make sense saying this, but I don't know. The blaster sounds just had a lot of oomph, and they just it made the scene feel all the more real almost. As I was watching it, I said to myself, "Huh, that's interesting," because I feel like in the past, any one of the episodes from seasons 1 through 6 would have had music in a scene like this. I couldn't envision any scene that involved clones storming an outpost, blasting droids when there wasn't any music playing in the back. But this really worked. Just this having the soul sounds be the blaster shots, and that combined with the cinematography, the way the camera follows the clones through the action, it made it feel all the more authentic. And I especially love the moment when they get on the elevator and they go up into the tower, and they take out all the droids in the command center. That was especially really well shot. And again, the lack of music and just the oomph of the blasters, it was great. Afterward, they proceed to the cyber center. This episode overall just landed where it needed to land in terms of action. There's one really cool seamless shot in particular that goes on for almost 30 seconds. You follow Hunter, Wrecker, and Tech into the cyber center as they break into the main control room and are blasting droids throughout the base, and that was really cool. I loved how that was shot, and you really feel like you're in the action with the clones for those scenes, the way it's filmed. So that was cool. Great utilization of said technology and the amazing animation. But then after that, when they take the control room, Rex comes in with Tech, and he gives him the chip with the algorithm sequence that they're looking for. Tech plugs it in. Sure enough, he finds something, but it's not simply any algorithm. It's actually a live signal coming from Skeko Minor, another planet. And Rex tells Tech to ask who it is. So Tech asks, and the signal responds CT1409, which, as it turns out, is Echo's number. And Rex is struck in disbelief. His theory was right. And after that, they escape the outpost with the information, now knowing Echo is alive. And that's the episode. And what a great episode, I have to say. Overall, this was the perfect return to Clone Wars possible. I mean, it honestly doesn't feel like they skipped a beat. The show has been gone for almost 6 years now. but yet it feels like it never left, which is what a lot of people have been saying, but it's true. Everything from the action to the music, the camera work, the characters, obviously, and the animation especially. The animation is unbelievably good. I didn't think it could get any better after the latter seasons. It was really good in seasons 5 and 6, but they proved me wrong. And this is honestly, I don't think there's any arguing that this could pass off as feature length quality animation. This could pass off as movie quality. It's that good. The characters are that much more detailed. The movements are that much more fluid. There's a lot more depth to the facial expressions. And there's even some cool, some minor changes, like the droids all have refined designs. Like you'll notice the super battle droids are a little sleeker, so as to be more accurate to the movie versions. The commando droids and B1 battle droids in the episode are also a lot, it's kind of sleeker and have that new design, which is really cool. And if you're a big fan of the show, obviously you noticed that right off the bat, so that was neat. And yeah, overall, just this episode hit all the right notes. It was a perfect return to formula. It was just a great entry point back into the series. And I don't know if they could have had a better episode to premiere season 7 with. And honestly, I expect all 12 episodes are going to be great. This is definitely a really solid start, and I can't wait to see what's to come for the rest of the season. But yeah, guys, that'll pretty much do it for this review. I hope you all enjoyed. I know I have a tendency to ramble a little bit, and I've actually never reviewed anything before. This is technically my first review. I've done trailer breakdowns, obviously, but never anything like this. So I apologize if I was a little all over the place or I went on a little too long about certain things, but I hope you all enjoyed nonetheless. And if you have stuck around this long, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. And if you enjoyed, please consider subscribing and giving the video a thumbs up. The Clone Wars is back, and I absolutely cannot wait to see what the rest of this season brings. So yeah, guys, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and may the Force be with you, always.